I just heard about this thing called the let them theory.
Jesus taught the let them theory. I tell you not to resist an evil person. I tell you if somebody slaps you,
let them.
Let them. He's not saying let them take advantage. He's describing the very nature of power versus force.
You're the most widely booked and followed podcast host
and best-selling author.
I'm speaking about the one and only Mel Robbins.
The only way to change somebody else is to let them and change yourself.
Welcome to the Live Sovereign podcast. We're so glad you're here. Today, episode 15, we're going to be talking about Mel Robbins' book, Let Them. Huge hit, big bestseller, easy to understand psychological principles for letting go of controlling everyone.
If your friends are not inviting you out to brunch this weekend, let them. If the person that you're really attracted to is not interested in a commitment, let them. So much time and energy is wasted on forcing other people to match our expectations. The truth is, if they are not showing up how you need them, do not try to force them to change. Let them be themselves because they are revealing who they are to you. Just let them. And then you get to choose what you do next.
Today, we're going to be talking about the principles in the book, comparing and contrasting, seeing how they line up with biblical wisdom, and talking about ways to apply it in your life.
It's basically just complete and utter acceptance of what the person is doing. Let them feel however they want to feel. Let them do whatever they want to do. And from that place, you can choose what actions you are going to take. So there's actually two parts. She summarized it to make it sound really simple, let them, but it's actually let them and then let me. First, you have to be in complete acceptance and not denial of what the actual situation is. Then you can choose, okay, let me make the appropriate decision. You exhaust your energy when you're trying to control the other person. What you resist persists. And that just means anything you're trying to fight or resist, you're creating pushback in whatever you're trying to resist in your life. And that's why acceptance is the first step. That's what let them means. Let them feel however they want. Let yourself feel whatever's coming up. Don't try to stuff it.
Basically, radical acceptance.
Right. But if you only have the first half, then people are like, well, wait a minute, I just get treated like a doormat? Or what if they get drunk all the time? Like, I just let them? What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's
where you need the second half.
That's the misapplication of it.
Yeah.
So it's
and she even says that in the book. She's like, if that's what you think, if you think I'm saying being a doormat, you don't understand the principle.
Right. Yeah. That's a misapplication of it because it's really exercising radical acceptance of a circumstance and then taking extreme ownership of whatever it is you actually
exactly
want to do
it's saying I am 100% responsible for how I choose to respond. And if I have any kind of reaction in me, or if I'm trying to control the other person at all, it will always come back and bite me. It's always going to backfire if you're trying to control somebody else because the only person you can control is you. And it's always going to backfire if you're trying to control your emotions from the flesh. That's called suppression. That's called resisting. If you fight in the flesh, you create more problems. You create pushback.
And that would look like somebody saying, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yes, that would be a classic thing of denial.
Everybody around them realizing
you're
she
not
is
fine.
not fine.
Yes, exactly. You're not fine. No matter how much you try to say you're fine, we know you're stressed. We can read you like a book, right? That's how it comes. It's very easy to see in other people. It's hard to see in ourselves when we're in denial. So yeah, another way to say this is don't be in denial about the present situation. When you understand that God is presence, he's in this moment, and you can connect with him by getting still, quiet, and being present in this moment, no matter what war is raging on inside of you, then you realize from that place of complete presence, which just means accepting what is, you don't just have to sit there. After you accept it, then from that place, you get to choose, what can I do to change this? That's not controlling the situation and not controlling the person. You can choose how you respond. It really just comes down to respond versus react.
It's basically, yes, I can't change you, but I can change me.
Yes.
The principles sound obvious. Oh, you can't force somebody to do something. What does that look like in real life?
In real life, it would look like, hey, I'm on Facebook and wait, all my friends went to a party without me. What? They didn't invite me. What is going on? I need to text them right now. Let them. Let them go to the party and not invite you. You can't control what they're doing. The moment you try to fight back, or you pick up your phone and you text them right back, you're falling into the reaction mode because you're reacting from a place of fear of missing out or lack. Whatever it is that you do from a place of lack or fear always comes back to hurt you.
What if it's not an anger? What if it's trying to fix a relationship? Something like that.
Well, and that's why there's the let them do it. Don't try to fight it. And then work on your own stuff, some prayer time, some inner work, whatever you need to do to get clear and free and know, okay, I don't feel charged about this. Then from that place, let me, she doesn't say this, but this is the biblical side of it. Let me, now that I am free of taking the plank out of my own eye that might be messing up my vision and making me not see the right thing.
Which would be trying to control what somebody else did or is doing, right?
After you've done that, then you can pray and be like, okay, God, what is the right course of action to take here? We can't have accurate discernment unless we're asking in every single moment, okay, God, what do I do? Maybe the right action is I should text them. I haven't reached out in a long time. But to see how that's coming from a give responsive thing of like, oh, maybe I haven't reached out in a while. It's not coming from a reaction.
The action you would have taken as a knee-jerk
yes.
feeling based is, I would say, almost never the same action as after you work through that, right?
I believe that you can take the exact same action, but if you take it from a place of reaction, it's going to end up badly. If you take it from a place of, I've cleared my own stuff and I think I should reach out. That's from a place of response. You can do the same action from a different place and you're going to see completely different results because one is going to ripple effect, possibly trigger the other person and come back to you. What you do comes back to you. I'm always telling the kids that. That's the principle of sowing and reaping. You need to not be afraid of what they're going to say back. It needs to be coming from a complete place of give, not a place of I'm only giving because I want something back.
Mm-hmm. Reaching out because I want to know why you went to that party, as opposed to reaching out because I realize, oh, I've been neglecting this friendship.
Yeah. Another way it could show up is you're dating someone, and I'm so far removed from that. Let me see if I can access that part of my brain.
What would that have been like?
We've only been together for 20 years? 19 years. If you're dating somebody and you guys start off great, you're texting each other all the time, and then all of a sudden they're ghosting you and you're like, where are they? That's when you pause and you're like, okay, there's something I need to learn here. Let them ghost me. Let them. Because they're just showing you who they really are. You work through whatever your reaction is, but you need to be clear before you take the action, if at all possible. If you can't get yourself clear and you literally have to respond in the heat of the moment, you have to be very present to overcome reaction that's in you. The point is you need to pause. So many personal development and spiritual principles will tell you, pause. You tell your kids, okay, take a deep breath, count to 10. The pause is where you let them do what they're going to do. So you're getting ghosted. Okay, you let them. Actually, by pausing and letting them, you're getting to see the true colors of the person. And people aren't going to change very easily. And so it's good that you see, okay, all right, so they kind of drift off after a while. And then once you work through your stuff, you connect and you're like, okay, God, what should I do?
Knowing and accepting that's how this person behaves in a given circumstance.
Yeah, it frees you up. It gives you ownership because then you're like, okay, if that's how this person is, I get to choose, do I want to be in this relationship?
Right. What kind of relationship
is this
do you want with
worth it?
them?
And you can take an action from there and be like, I don't think it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe we should be done. Or the opposite. You can be like, this guy is really worth it. And I'm just going to see how this plays out.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many actions you could take, but
right.
What matters is, are you coming from a place of give and love? Or are you coming from a place of take and I lack and I need something from this person?
Mm-hmm. And forcing.
Yeah. Right.
One of the really interesting principles that Mel's book brought out was the idea of emotional maturity and being able to accept people behaving in ways that
are childish.
Exactly. She said a lot of the time when someone's having an emotional reaction to something, they're literally reacting like an 8-year-old. If you imagine that person as an 8-year-old, it takes all of the charge out of it for you, and it lets you see that poor little person having a meltdown over something with compassion instead of fear or
Yeah.
judgment.
It takes you out of judgment and puts you in an easier place of compassion. But you could do that from a negative way too. You could be like, oh, the poor thing, they're acting like they're 3.
Like
and you
an
tell
8-year-old,
them,
yeah.
you're acting like a 2-year-old. It has to be from a place of neutrality in you.
Right. And choosing to recognize, in this particular circumstance, that person was never able to emotionally progress beyond that level of dealing with things.
And psychology will tell you that whenever we get triggered, we're not actually feeling emotions from the present. We're actually going back to the past of when you were 3 years old and you had a huge reaction, like you felt anger or fear really strongly and you didn't let it process. You stuffed it because you didn't know how to handle it. You literally are acting like you're 8 or 3 or whatever that moment was, that say maybe your dad yelled at you and you didn't actually feel the feelings. You stuffed it because you couldn't deal with it at the time. Well, in the present, as an adult, you're 38 and you snap at somebody because they yelled at you. You're feeling really angry. You think you're feeling the feelings from the present, but actually it's a very old feeling that got activated. And this is where you have a choice. When you feel a really strong emotion, instead of thinking it's legit, it's better to be like, okay, maybe I'm feeling something from the past that isn't healed yet. This is 3-year-old Mary that's feeling so angry. And if you can realize that you have the opportunity to heal it, every reaction that comes out, every time you feel slighted by a friend for ghosting you or not getting invited to a party, it's actually an opportunity in disguise.
And it doesn't mean you have to know what the issue was or how old you were or
you just have to
anything
let
like
the
that.
feelings come up and process and not stuff it back down because it's scary to deal with it.
It's almost like you need to just imagine, what if this was based on something from my past?
Yeah.
Without needing to figure it out or know or anything, and just accept maybe this isn't as real as it feels.
Yeah. And that's so powerful. And the reason it triggered you so bad is usually because this is a key thing that God is trying to show you has been holding you back in your life. And if you don't react, if you let yourself heal whatever that is, you're going to up level that area of your life in a way you've never seen before. Maybe you've never been able to have a relationship where the person isn't ghosting you. This is your opportunity to transform so that never happens again. If you can have that huge emotional reaction calm up and let it process, you heal that old wound, and the next relationship you have is going to be better. The old trauma that's coming up, that's what's holding you back from the next level in your relationships.
So we've covered a lot of the psychological principles underneath a lot of this, unhealed wounds and responding versus reacting. What are the biblical principles that we see that
right
predate let them, but make the same point?
Well, it's funny because, Mel Robbins didn't come up with this, and she knows that because this is a principle that doesn't just go throughout, Bible and Christianity. It's in Stoicism and all sorts of different philosophy and religions because they've all stumbled across a timeless truth that is in the Bible.
Fundamentally accepting others for whatever they're like right now is
It's the key.
ultimate expression of unconditional love, not based on what they're doing or who they are, but just for the fact that they are.
That really is the kind of unconditional love that God speaks of, but psychology helps us see how it works in real time. Love is the epitome of everything contained in the Bible. The only way to really change anybody else is to accept them unconditionally as a human, as a person, as a being, and not judge them and not push them. And from that place of complete unconditional acceptance, you meet somebody with unconditional love and acceptance, and it automatically starts changing you if you're ready for it.
It's interesting seeing the biblical principle of unconditional love and the psychological equal to that, which is unconditional acceptance of someone, and the counterfeit of that we see so many places out in the world is supposed to be unconditional love. What it actually is unconditional approval of absolutely everything you do and believe.
Right. And that is not what unconditional love means. And that is not what the Bible teaches. If we understand the flesh-spirit paradigm that we each have these two fundamental natures that are warring against us, you're here in the middle and your flesh is pulling you this way and your spirit is pulling you this way and God's spirit is pulling you this way. Satan is pulling you this way. You're stuck in the middle here. If you can unconditionally love this person, this human, the flesh part of someone, and not fight them, it disarms it. It melts it almost if they're ready for it. Unconditional love is like light that shines into the darkness. The spirit side of the person, that's where you're fighting for them.
You can have unconditional love, unconditional acceptance for someone completely irrespective
Yes.
of what they believe
Yes.
or are doing.
They still, because they're a person made in the image of God, deserve love. And it's counterintuitive. So how do we solve that paradox?
So much of what we see today is either I unconditionally love you, therefore
And condone everything you do.
I condone and approve of absolutely everything you believe and do. Or you've got the flip side of I unconditionally love you, and therefore I have to take you to task and confront you
Yes.
about all the stuff you're doing wrong. That's what let them is. I think that's what the principle is addressing, is trying to control other people.
When you're trying to control other people, or you're telling them all the different things that they need to change, or you're resisting them, you're literally creating pushback.
Mm-hmm.
Love is a way to inspire and influence without resisting and pushing and fighting. It's the difference between power and force. The spirit has power because it's light, it's an example, it's an inspiration. Just being around you can change somebody. That's why these guys like that are former drug addicts or convicts, and they're in their later years in life, sometimes say, I know what it was like to be that person. I have deep compassion for these kids that are struggling with this. Once you've conquered a certain area, you spiritually become an authority over those forces of darkness, whether it's attitudes or spirits or demons. You are the authority over that because you've already overcome it. And so that's why you have these people that'll go back and help these kids that everybody else is judging and saying, man, you're just a mess. You're never going to make anything out of your life. That person can't change those people because they create the pushback. The person that has overcome it, that understands from a place of acceptance and compassion and not judgment, that's the light that like actually changes these kids that are struggling. Like, you have to have conquered it already in order to help someone else. You have to be the example. And that's the unconditional love the Bible teaches. The guy that goes into those situations who has already overcome it, he's not judging them. He creates more change than anybody else because he's living inspiration for these people that haven't overcome it yet. Everybody wants to overcome their problems. They just don't know how. Mm-hmm.
And someone who's walked that same road more or less and already come out the other side or is that much farther ahead. Somebody going into a prison ministry who's never had any contact with that side of life, a cupcake like me, would probably not be very effective. And God works with people in all sorts of different ways, and you don't have to go through something to be able to help. But I think the most effective, the most passionate people helping a certain type of person or a certain area is often because they've come out of that and survived.
And that's what gives you unconditional love and acceptance of the person. It doesn't mean you condone their actions. And that is why Jesus had to come in the flesh to experience and overcome all of this stuff. Because I said, if you beat an area, you become a spiritual authority over it, and you don't judge the people because you know how hard it was to go through it. Jesus had to suffer everything he did so he could literally empathize.
Yeah, so he has the firsthand compassion to relate to everything that we're all going through, and without having lived it, it would be more academic than that.
Yeah.
What are some examples that we can look at in the Bible of this principle of, okay,
let them and let me?
Mm-hmm.
Judas is a chief example of this. How did Jesus deal with the apostle that was going to betray him? He didn't hit him over the head with anything. He didn't try to resist. He let him
turn him into the Romans.
Yeah. Then you have the example of the rich young ruler comes to Jesus and he's like, I've done all these things. I want to follow you. And Jesus knew this guy thinks he has everything figured out, but really he hasn't given up what's most important. And we all have to sacrifice what's most important. And so he said, okay, you have to sell all your things, and then you can be my disciple. And it said the man walked away sorrowful. Jesus didn't run after him and say, hold on, wait, hang on, let me work with you here, okay? No, he let him because he had perfect discernment. And that's the key to understand the paradox You have to discern what each person needs. And you can only do that if you're in constant communication and you work through your own issues.
Beating this young guy over the head with, you got to sell all your stuff and I'm the Messiah, so you'd better listen to me. It doesn't get to the heart. Even if he did it, it would have been out of compulsion, out of being forced.
It takes away free will, and God only has us have this human experience because he wants us to have free will and choose it. Because anytime you're trying to control, you're taking away the person's free will, and they're not doing it from the heart. Nobody can ever change unless they actually want to, because it has to be from their heart, not yours.
Yep.
Then we have some other examples of Jesus correcting. So the sons of thunder, James and John, were trying to call down, lightning or fire? They're trying to call down fire.
Fire from heaven.
Yeah, to consume the people that made fun of Jesus. And Jesus is like, stop. So how do we explain this paradox? Because it seems contradictory.
Right. When do you let them with some people and then yell at them in other circumstances?
He accepted the present moment perfectly with both of those. And then he did the second step, which is discern and let me find the appropriate response. So with the rich young ruler and Judas, the appropriate response was let them go, let them do their thing. For the disciples that Jesus knew, because he was in connection with God and he discerned their hearts really want what's right, he knew the appropriate action for him was to call out some correction.
The examples we looked at with Jesus, where he corrected his disciples clearly and passionately.
The ones that wanted the correction.
Those were men who the nature of their relationship with Jesus was student and teacher. It was his job. There was a mutual consent that they wanted to be taught and influenced and to a certain extent led by him. Stop trying to influence people who don't want you to influence them.
Exactly. And that takes the discernment and the constant connection with God and the pure heart. Jesus taught the let them theory because he said, I tell you not to resist an evil person. I tell you if somebody slaps you,
let them.
Let them.
Literally.
I tell you if somebody tells you to walk a mile, walk with them too. Let them. And he's not saying let them take advantage. He's describing the very nature of power versus force.
There's nothing that makes you feel more powerless than trying to control something you can't control. What are the action steps?
2 simple steps, simple, not easy. First step, radical acceptance of what is. Doesn't mean you agree with everything. It means you accept that what is happening at this moment is reality and it is for your good.
Accept how someone's behaving.
Accept it even if you don't like it. Work through your stuff. The second step is let me, and it means let me see now that I don't need to control that other person and I just can let them be who they are and show their true colors, and I've worked on my own stuff. Now I get to decide what action can I take?
What do I want to do?
Yeah,
that
because of
is,
the situation.
Right. And that's the question of, I am in control of what I think and do.
You're giving your power away and giving your control away when you try to force them to do what you want them to do. When you don't let them, you literally are giving them control of the situation without meaning to. So the second step is let me decide what to do. Do I want to stay in this? Do I want to do something else? And you need to get your action from inspiration. And by inspiration, I mean inspire, in the spirit. You need to ask God, what should I do? And you can do this silently at any moment. You have to be plugged into your power source. You have to have that open connection with God to be able to get the right answer. If you're not plugged in, you can't expect to get an answer. Your Wi-Fi is turned off.
The same idea is, if you only call your parents when you need money, how good is that relationship? If you're only talking to God when you want something, well, there's probably something deeper to deal with than the fact that you're not getting all the things you're asking for.
Yeah.
You need to.
So you got to keep your lifeline open.
Yep. Make some more deposits in that relationship bank account with God to be able to draw out when you need it.
And it actually makes sense because your relationship with God is literally the reflection of everything you're seeing in your relationships. Everything is a microcosm of everything else. Everything in your life is mirroring. If you don't have that lifeline connected with God to tell you what to do next, that would be the best thing, then you're not going to get the right answer. And that's literally showing up in your relationships. It's showing up in everything. It's all a mirror. And It's literally like you have something, like you pull down a shade when the sun is trying to shine in. If God is the sun and you have the shade down in front of you, everything that's trying to shine into that area of your life is blocked. It's darkness now.
If you spend a lot of your energy outward focused, trying to control circumstances and people, if life is a mirror, take pause and I guess ask, how much am I trying to control God in our relationship? What am I trying to get God to do for me?
Ooh, that's really good.
And what kind of scary changes are going to happen if you start looking into that relationship?
It's all about what can I do to change? And that's the interesting thing, is that the only way to change somebody else is to let them and change yourself. The wife that's been nagging her husband to stop smoking for decades and he never will, as soon as she gives it up, he's like, I think I'm ready to stop smoking.
When you're not busy fighting somebody else trying to control you, you have a whole lot more energy to direct toward actually changing something.
And here's a deep thing. Your relationships are a mirror of what you are currently able to handle. If you have a husband that is narcissistic and controlling, you are actually at this moment only able to handle that kind of person in that close relationship. It means that I'm not able to handle a loving, caring husband. I can't accept that much positivity into my life.
The crux of this whole let them, let me idea is being able to discern in every relationship, in every circumstance, what is the right way to address this, to interact with another person, and then what actions do I take? And you get that level of discernment by having a direct, functional relationship and communication with God. We're glad you joined us for today's podcast. We did not have Mel Robbins on with us, but we did get to talk a lot about her book.
Maybe one day, if you guys like and subscribe and YouTube pushes this content out to more people, maybe we'll be able to have some big names like that at some point and tie them into the Christian perspective and see what's wrong, what's right. How can we accurately discern this? That'd be really cool.
The more views, the more subscribers that we have, the more guests, the wider our reach we can have to give you guys awesome content. So please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share these videos. If there's something really that landed with you, if there's a point, an idea, something that you want to share, drop a comment, share what it is, and let us know. If you have other ideas, other principles that you want us to cover, drop a comment and tell us about it, and we'll see you guys next time. No matter how much you pray, Bible study about it, try your hardest, do your best, it always comes back and you fall back into it. It's probably because you're not